are listening to the Moms in Business podcast, where we get real about all the things on balancing motherhood and still having a thriving business. It is my goal that you hear from real moms, you hear real stories on mindset, time management strategies, and even the moments of crying in the shower, because we have all been there. I'm your host, Misty Shaheen, life and business coach for moms who want the freedom to live life on their own terms without sacrificing their health or family time. Welcome to this episode of the Moms in Business podcast. And today we are chatting with Lisa Yvonne. She is from the Ukraine. She is a homeschool mom of 8 kids, and she also has a business. And I am so excited to hear and chat with her about her story, about how she got started, how she works her business while also homeschooling her 8 kids, and some of the transformations she's had to go through to get where she is today. So welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me, Misty. It's great to be here.
I'm so excited that you're here. So first of all, I always love to get some insight on your personality. So can you tell us, are you familiar with astrology?
Not really, no.
Okay, so when is your birthday?
My birthday is in July.
July, beginning or end?
Middle of the month.
Middle of the month, so you're probably a Cancer. You know, a Cancer is typically the mother of the zodiac, so no surprise you could have 8 kids, but they're typically very nurturing, they're very intuitive, and they're very good at taking care of people. Does that resonate?
Yeah, that's definitely my life.
Oh, good. Wow. I just love to get insight on, your personality and how you infuse that into your business. So I'm sure we'll hear more about that.
I'm also an INTJ. I'm a personality type geek, and intuition is huge for me. But so is logic, data, and systems. The two work seamlessly together.
Yes. Oh, I love that. I don't know too much about INTJ. I am an INFP, but everything I know about the INTJs, they're all about like analytics, getting into the details. They're very detail oriented.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's us.
So how long have you been in your business?
I started my first business when I was 9, and it's kind of been a chronic entrepreneurial journey since then. But this current business, I started my first blog when my second child was a baby. So it's about like 12, 13 years old. My second website, I just got a couple years ago and started building up. And I became a business coach using what I've learned through all of my experience, my college degree, and the courses that I've taken a little over 2 years ago. And in that time, I've helped more than a dozen women go from 3 figures a month to 4, usually 5 figures a month in income working from home.
Wow, so interesting. At 9 years old, you already knew, you had an inkling for entrepreneurship. What was your first business?
A lawn care business. My mom told me that I had to mow the grass, and she bought a lawnmower, she bought a can of gas, and she told me that I could do whatever I wanted with it. She would keep the gas can full as long as I mowed the grass. So I started cutting all the neighbors' lawns. And then I started raking their yards. And there were a lot of senior citizens in our neighborhood. So I'd take the trash out, collect the mail, that kind of a thing. And a couple years later, I hired a little team and I subcontracted because I got so busy.
Oh,
and
wow.
It kind of grew from there.
Mm-hmm. And so did you love it?
Not the work. I'm really not cut out for yard care. I'd much rather be inside reading a book or learning something, but I really like the independence that comes from knowing you control your income and that you don't have to say no because you don't have money.
Yes, I love that. That was one of the reasons why I went into business, because at one point I was working in the service industry and I was a waitress, and I felt like I was kind of gypped from getting the good sections, the good tables, the good customers. And I felt like there was kind of a tip on the scale, some of the people that work there, they seem to always get the good, customers, high tippers. And I just got this feeling of I never wanted someone to have that much control over my financial future.
Ironically enough, I spent 13 years in the restaurant business. That's what my mom did. So that was my first official, on the books job. And I loved it because I love people and I love brightening people's day. And because I'm an introvert, the quick turnover of tables was perfect for me.
Yeah.
I could go be effusive, happy, bubbly, serve them, and then go. But ultimately, when it came down to I wanted to spend time with my kids, I realized this is not the business for me and it's time to go into business for myself. And I tried different network marketing things that were apropos to our lives. I was a homeschooling mom, so I did Usborne books and Tupperware, all the things but I couldn't get passionate about them. But the one thing that I remained passionate about was business. So I dusted my blog off and I just, jumped in and started seeing small strides. And my husband came to me, a few years in and said, what would it take for you to really make this happen?
Wow.
Because we had this dream of moving to Eastern Europe as missionaries and living there and not always having to beg for money, but to have the money to help people and give freely. And so I was just 5-6 hours a week uninterrupted, which, that's like a unicorn, right? We have 8 kids. But he created that time for me. And that was just the beginning of the dream that we're living today.
Wow. Has he always been supportive of your entrepreneurial endeavors?
Always. He's actually worked 2 jobs almost our entire marriage so that I could stay home and raise the kids and homeschool and do all the things we wanted to do. But he's never once asked me to sacrifice any of my dreams or desires. He's amazing that way.
Oh, that is so awesome. Wow. So how old are your kids?
The baby is 3 and the oldest just turned 21. So we are all over the place.
What a range. So is the 21-year-old still living at home?
He is. He actually works with us and he's, pursuing secondary education now. We're still working on his education together a little bit here and there with, helping with papers, that kind of a thing. And he is practically learning all of the life skills that he needs to start his own business right now. Mostly where I'm working with him because we want him to have that independence to be able to travel and do whatever he wants.
Yeah. Wow. That's so awesome. So what does your day-to-day look like? Do you have the same day every day, or is it more of a weekly flow you have?
We have rhythms. So there are work days and there are family days right now for us. We found it was easier when things were consistent, but because I work with people across the ocean, sometimes I'm busier than other days. So we have non-negotiable family time before bed every day. And, we play our thankful game and we end our day together, just like we started together. But there are some days where we clean and we focus, and there are other days where we play really, really hard. And we find it easier to kind of batch those days. Let's get all of the chores done and out of the way today. And then let's spend the next 2 days relaxing and having fun as a family. And then let's spend the other days learning.
Oh, I love that. I've learned that batching is just so powerful with my own energy. And I love batching and, just having those set times, like today we're going to work and then other days we just play and it's more kind of free flow. So I love that.
I think freedom is really important when you're raising kids because it's what gives them the freedom to become themselves. They get to really step into their own personality and character. And one of the reasons we homeschool isn't because I want to control their education so much as that I want to incite a love of learning in them and a strong sense of individualism. And so I find that free time is actually more beneficial to that goal than structured time.
Yeah.
I'm definitely super structured. I have to be to run a business and raise a large family, but we structure in that unstructured time, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And I think that is one of the most misunderstood things about homeschooling. Wouldn't you say?
A lot of people think it's reproducing school at home, and it's so different.
Yeah, it is so different. People think that because you're not sitting down doing schoolwork that the kids are not learning or whatever. They do a lot of learning.
They really do. It's pretty impressive to me what my kids create when they're given the space and the tools to do it. They always amaze me. It's really exciting to step into their world that they create too.
Yeah. Do they have any kind of interest in your business, or do you incorporate them into your business at all?
So our goal as a family is for each one of our kids to graduate high school with a business that's generating at least $1,000 a month. So my daughter has learned VA tasks. She's very, very capable. One of my sons is learning the same. The oldest is actually in the process of learning video editing because I'm expanding into video. We are moving to a homestead. He's also learning about like food preservation and things like that. And then my 9-year-old is intensely passionate about having a growth mindset and helping other kids do the same. And we're about to write a book together. He's really excited about it.
Oh, wow. That is so cool. So I'm a homeschool mom as well. We've been homeschooling for 2 years. And I love the aspect of homeschooling that just allows them the freedom to explore their own interests.
It's pretty amazing. I used to think that parents who did that were like lazy homeschoolers, or they just didn't know what to do. And now I realize they just knew what it took me a few years to figure out. And that's the best part.
Wow. Yeah, that is so awesome. So I want to go back and talk about what was one of the hardest parts, one of the things that you really had to overcome in your business.
Honestly, probably myself.
Mm.
I actually felt a lot of fear over being successful, or I would get have a successful milestone achieved and then feel guilty about it. And so I had to get out of my own way. And it took a lot of work and eventually the help of a coach to really get me to where I could celebrate those successes and push forward without feeling, like I was doing something wrong or bad.
Wow. Yeah. So a lot of like self-sabotage.
Yeah, I played small because it didn't challenge anybody. I found like when I started playing bigger, people that had never had opinions about my life before came out of the woodwork. Good moms are moms. That's all they are, right? They're not entrepreneurs. They're not pursuing their own passions or interests. They're not telling their kids, no, the door's shut, go talk to your father. And so I would feel horrible for that because my kids' whole life, I had always been 100% available to them, full-time stay-at-home mom at their beck and call. But the funny thing is it was all in my head. My kids are super supportive. They love the lifestyle that this affords us. They love that daddy is not working 2 jobs all the time anymore. And that mommy is actually more available because she's learned how to balance play and work. They love all of that and they love what they're learning from it. Now, I will say that the mindset part, it sounds so intangible and so crazy. And I really thought it was hooey. Like I would listen to people talk about it and I thought it was just a load of baloney. But it's really the hardest part. Marketing strategy is easy. Anyone can learn it.
Yeah.
Anyone can learn business. You can take courses. But to get out of your own way and out of your own head and push past your upper limit, that's hard.
Yeah, totally agree. And mommy guilt is so real, and it is something so many of us struggle with.
It's so true. I was talking with a friend yesterday and she said, what's the one thing you wish you could tell yourself? And like 5 years ago. And I said, leave the guilt at the door. Like really leave the guilt at the door because it doesn't help anybody. It colors your engagement and your interactions from day to day. And then it gives you something to feel guilty about because you weren't totally present and you weren't yourself and it wasn't fun.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That is just so true. And I mean, what are some of the things that helped you overcome that?
Honestly, a lot of prayer, a lot of intentionality and journaling, and a lot of talking with my husband and having him just give his unbiased opinion of, why are you worried about that? You're awesome. It was, hearing that was great. And then when I hit a point in my business where I couldn't move forward anymore, I hired a coach and I just said, hey, I need someone to kick my butt. And she did it for me. But in the beginning, I did a lot of it myself. I did the hard work myself. And what I did was I made sure that I started every day with an intention and I ended every day with gratitude. And that took me pretty far on my own. But when I started to hit the upper levels of my business, I needed an extra set of eyes and ears and hands in it,
Yeah. Wow. That is so true. How we think of ourselves and how others think of us can be totally different. We are our own biggest critics. But sometimes it's just asking others, how they see us. And if you can look at yourself in the way other people see you, it's a totally different world, right?
It really is. It's astounding. And I think part of it comes with just learning to see yourself clearly and accept what you see. Because you're seeing yourself in the middle of your journey.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you're still taking the next step forward, there's nothing wrong with who you are today.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest gift was setting up boundaries around my work time and around my family time. So a lot of business teachers that I had in college and courses that I've taken since then would talk about drawing sacred boundaries around your work hours.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really easy for me. I mean, I started my first business when I was 9. Clearly, I love working, right? But I learned that that was actually backwards. And what I needed to do was set sacred boundaries around my family time.
Yeah.
And once I did that, that's when everything was awesome.
Yeah. And working from home, those boundaries can be blurred even more than, if you were able to just go to work, close your computer, and then come home.
It's funny you say it like that because one of my, I guess, rituals, if you will, is at the end of every work week, I take 2 full days off. I actually uninstall apps from my phone that will distract me and everything. Yeah. But I manually intentionally clear off my physical desktop, my laptop desktop, and I power my laptop down and I put it in a drawer. And it's like the signal to me. And then when it's family time each day, I actually still put the same, the laptop in the drawer. I might not go through and, clear off the laptop and uninstall the apps and things, but I'm just fully focused and present.
Yeah, I love that. I have gone through times when I know I'm super distracted and I know social media has just become almost a toxic addiction for me. And I have done I'll uninstall some of my apps for the weekend and just focus on being present.
Isn't that amazing? Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful when you can do it.
Yeah, and it's just a different feeling of relief, a feeling of not needing to perform, not needing to be there for someone else. A big part of my own business journey was I always felt responsible for my clients' results.
Oh, yeah, that's a hard one.
And if they didn't get results, I felt guilty, like there was something wrong with me. There was something wrong with, the way I was working with them. And it was a couple years into my business when I just had this energetic reset where I realized whenever I hire a coach, if I don't get the results, I place the blame on me, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of it is managing expectations, and we always focus on managing them for our clients, but we sometimes forget to manage them for ourselves. And I would say I spent the first year coaching and really taking their successes to heart and celebrating them, but then the same was true for their failures. And now I'm at a place where I can go, okay, now listen, I've given you what you need, but you have to do the work. I can't do it for you, but I will celebrate every win that you have, but I will not own your business. You have to own it. Right. You have to. But I do think that when we coach holistically, when we work on their mindset and their heart and their energy, as well as their systems and strategies, we've done everything we can and we've given our best. And so it's totally okay to say, kind of like when you're teaching your toddler to walk, you hold their hand, you help them, but ultimately only they can choose to take the next step.
Right. Absolutely. Totally get that. And sometimes it's just hard to take that on depending on your background and depending on, how you were raised and your own personality. It could be easier or more difficult.
It is. That's true. That plays a lot into it. And we always have to remember that.
Yeah. Did you grow up, did you have siblings? Did you come from a big family yourself?
I'm the only child of a single mother.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how has that been? Was that an adjustment? Did you always know you wanted a big family?
No, when we were in pre-marriage counseling, I compromised and agreed to have maybe one kid.
Oh, funny how that happens, right?
And, we have both biological and adopted children. As I like to joke with people, well, they come one at a time. Well, we've had them come 2 at a time too, but it was just each one that came, I was like, okay, I can do this. Well, maybe, hopefully, right?
Right.
Okay, we got this. And the next one come along, oh, yay. And finally, we have 8. And I'm like, 8's enough.
Yes.
I'm poor. I'm getting tired. I can't do sleepless newborn nights anymore. And then one of my kids was like, oh, yeah, but I'm praying we get twins next. I'm like, whoa. I'm thinking grandbabies maybe, but not twins.
Great. Wow. I know you've moved around a lot in your business. How long have you been in the Ukraine?
We've been here for 2 years.
Okay. Was that an easy decision, a hard decision?
It was the next decision.
Uh-huh.
In the sense that we fell in love with it when we adopted our first son from here 8 years ago. And we always knew we would come back at the right time. It was just a matter of when was the right time. Mm. And then all of the things happened at once that were just like giant open doors. You know, right up to getting a letter in the mail of somebody who wanted to buy our house because they needed one with 5 bedrooms and it was the only one in the area.
Wow.
And it was a cash offer. So we were like, okay, I think it's time to do that.
Wow.
And the next thing you know, we were literally leaving all of our stuff behind. And we took our suitcases, we packed up a couple of Christmas boxes and said goodbye to all of the trappings that tie you in one place and came. And we've had adventures, to be sure, here. And while it wasn't easy to do, I would say that it wasn't hard either because it was the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Like you knew in your hearts it was just the right thing.
We as a family were completely in unity about it. We all wanted it. We're a very tight-knit family and we all stood together. So that's what made it wonderful.
Wow, that's so awesome.
You know, when you're a tight family and you're together, it's like nothing's too hard because you're where you belong.
Right. And you lean on each other.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm the oldest of 6 kids. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. I know a little bit about that tight-knit family. It's, you know, growing up, I feel like we always had a friend. We were never lonely. We were never alone. There was always someone to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love big families. I love the energy of big families. It's just nothing like it.
I think my kids will say that, hopefully.
I'm sure they will. I mean, in the midst of it, I didn't love having 4 brothers, but as I got older, I realized the blessings that it came with.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. What advice would you give me since I'm an only child? Any way I can help them?
Oh, wow. You know, I would just as a homeschool family, have you always homeschooled?
Yeah, we started surprisingly from scratch, but yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, as a homeschool family, I think you have even more advantage because they're together all the time. They're creating those close bonds. One of the first things I noticed when we started homeschooling, so we started homeschooling, my son was 8 or 9, and my daughter was 5. And before that, they were always fighting. My daughter was always getting hurt, like her fingers were getting shut through the door, slammed in the door, and she was just always getting hurt. And my son, the reason why we pulled them out was my son was getting bullied. And once we pulled them out, those little nitpicky things stopped happening. All of a sudden, they were playing together. They were rolling around on the floor, playing together. And it was just amazing, the bonding that started happening, you know, intuitively because they were just together all the time and they started working together like a team.
Oh, that's awesome. I've noticed that with some of our kids because some of them at different ages and different stages don't always get along as well as other stages.
Right.
But yeah, they definitely are connected in a beautiful way.
Yeah. Wow. It's so awesome. So I want to talk about the transformation you had whenever you cleaned out your house.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
It was really, really emotional for me. Super hard. And I would say that I struggled more than anyone because it was my memories and my emotions. I was reading in Luke 18 in the Bible where the rich young ruler comes to Jesus and, you know, he says, I've obeyed all the rules. And he goes, okay, so sell everything you have and come follow me. And it says that the young man went away sad because he had many things. And growing up, I had always looked at that story and kind of wrinkled my nose, you know, because we grew up kind of poor. I didn't have a lot of stuff. So I didn't really get that, right? And all of a sudden I had this moment where I was like, I get it now. I like my stuff. My stuff is kind of tied to who I am. And I used my things to define home. Like I sat in my yellow chair when I was having a bad day and used my favorite mug to make me feel better while I had a cup of coffee. Or I grabbed my favorite fuzzy blanket after a rough day of parenting and cozied up on the couch that I had lovingly chosen to watch a movie. And all of a sudden, I had none of those trappings to make me feel better when I had a bad day. And as I was saying goodbye to the items and packing them up or just walking away, because ultimately we ended up hiring a company that just does it for you. They have a giant yard sale and the rest goes to charity. I looked at all the money I had spent on those things that I didn't get back. And I realized how much we had wasted because culture told us we should have it. Mm-hmm. And I realized how silly it was that I had allowed inanimate objects to try to bring me peace or comfort. And so I would say that at the end of it, it was actually one of the most healing, beautiful gifts I've ever been given.
Wow, I love that. I think material things we can find comfort in those. We can find comfort in the things that we have around us. And we so often fall into these patterns that society says that we have to have a TV and we have to have this, we have to have that. I find the more things that I've been able to release and let go of, the more peace I found.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Just the energy that those things carry and the energy of having too many things in your space, like it just bogs you down.
Clutter is exhausting.
Yeah.
It really is emotionally and physically draining. What I've learned from all of this is that I would rather tend my family than tend my things.
Yeah.
And now I jealously guard my open space. I want space for people. I don't want space for crap.
Right. Oh, I love that. Wow. So coming up on our time, but what would you tell the woman who is thinking about starting a business or she's brand new in business? What piece of advice would you have for her?
Be gentle with yourself and your family because you're doing it for yourself and your family. So don't forget to keep the priorities front and center. If it takes you longer than it takes someone else that you're watching online, that's okay because they don't have your life and your priorities and your values. You're building a business to enhance your life, not to overcome it. So just be gentle with yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. I found myself almost being resentful towards, not having the time for my business, not having time to do things. But, in this past year especially, I've had to reorganize my priorities and realize that it's my family and my kids are the reason why I'm doing this.
Exactly. And when they're the reason that you're doing it, you can't ignore them while you're building it.
Mm-hmm.
And, and the other thing I would say is, end of the day, I'm a marketer, right? It's my job to sell you my offering and to make you think that you need it and it will make your life better. So when you start getting exposed to the sales pages and all of the people going, okay, well, you can invest here or you can just wait longer for your success. While that might be true, do not buy all the things. Do not invest in all the things. Do the thing that's right for you. Do the thing that's right for your business, but also for your whole life. Mm-hmm. Do the thing that's right for your family. If you spend all that money and you chase all those things, you'll lose your dream to begin with because you'll spend so much time and energy and money consuming that you'll never do and profit.
Yeah.
And you'll lose yourself in the process. You lose your voice when you listen to too many others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So important to be able to hear your own voice and hear your own truth. And if you are bombarded with all the marketing, sometimes we can cloud out our own truth.
Absolutely. It's so important to know who you are and to not be swayed by the really creative marketing out there because, again, it's their lifeblood. It's what they do. It's what they're supposed to do. And you just have to stay rooted in your family and your purpose and not waver.
Yeah, so good. So what resources do you have? I know you work with mamas who are out there trying to build their business. So what resources do you have?
Yeah, so my I help statement, which I help statements drive me crazy as a marketer because everybody has them, right? But I help moms have the freedom to say yes to tea parties, soccer games, days off, anything they want because their business is working in the background. And what that's saying is I help digital content creators, bloggers, women who create things that can be sold on their own with successful funnels, grow and scale their businesses And I focus on time strategies because I believe you have to help holistically that help you be the best mom you can be. And so I put together, I guess, an ebook, a package, if you will, of business growth strategies for busy women. It's the 5 things that were foundational to getting me to where I am today and continue to be. Like, I always go back to those basic 5 when I get overwhelmed. And so it's just a resource. It's free to download. And you're welcome to come into my Coffee and Keyboard Business Strategy Facebook group, where you can receive support. We do live trainings a couple times a week, and often impromptu moments when people ask questions. I just hop on a live and teach publicly because we can all grow together. And I focus a lot on time management and practical tips because everyone in the group has kids, as well as business strategy and mindset, because again, it's for the holistic woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow. So good. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming on and giving us your insight around, raising babies and still having that thriving business that works in the background, whether you're out playing or sleeping.
Thank you so much for having me, Misty.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Did you love this episode? I would love to connect with you and hear all of your ahas. Do me a favor, take a screenshot right now. Tag me on IG your biggest takeaway. You can find the podcast at momsinbiz_podcast. And if you haven't joined the party yet, we are hanging out over on Facebook. We have a private group called Moms in Business. And this group is all about connection, community, and collaboration. So if you haven't joined us yet, please do come over and join in on the conversation.